So you finally decided to mod your WRX or STI and add some performance upgrades. You've probably heard or seen stage 1, 2, and even 3 thrown around and in the forums. In this video I'm going to explain what each stage is and what parts are necessary for each stage. In order to adjust the tune on your car, you will need some kind of ECU tuner. There are a few out there, but the Cobb Axis Port is by far the most common and most popular one. So for this video I will reference the Cobb Axis Port. With the Axis Port, you will be able to either load the OTS / off-the-shelf tunes if available, or have your car Pro Tuned / E-Tuned. The Axis Port is one of the most important mods for the WRX and STI. The stages I mentioned will require specific Cobb parts if you plan to use the OTS tunes, but a catback or axle back can be added at any stage and not affect the OTS tunes functionality. At each stage, I will list the typical horsepower and torque gains that you can expect, at least for the V8 WRX, since that is the car that I own, and I feel like most people who watch my videos have a V8 WRX. Remember that the VB WRX will make even more power with similar mods, and the EJ engine cars such as the STI and older WRXs will make a little bit less. The reason for this is because it's a lot easier to make power on the VB and VA chassis with the direct injected FA engines. I also want to add that in each stage there is a 91 and a 93 octane OTS tune, so you can choose a tune based on what gas is in your area. To reach the listed gains on Cobb's site, you will need the 93 tune though. Okay, so most people don't realize this, but there actually is a stage 0 tune. Some people don't really even consider it a tune, but it's basically just a stock tune or the OEM tune. So for example, if you wanted to revert your car back to stock, then you would load the stage 0 tune on the Cobb Axis Port, which is just a stock tune. This is obviously just for a stock car, so you shouldn't have any performance mods on your car at all if you're going to revert back to the stage 0 tune. But you can have a catback or axle back, and that's not going to affect anything. So first, we have the stage 1 and 1+ tunes. Stage 1 means that you've reflashed your ECU. There's no mods necessary for this. Stage 1+ though is a little different. This is similar to stage 1, but with an intake added. The Axis Port has preloaded stage 1+ tunes. The tunes that come with the Axis Port are designed for Cobb intakes. You should not run an OTS stage 1+ tune with a different intake. For this, you'll need to get the car Pro Tuned / E-Tuned, or you're gonna have to find a manufacturer that will provide a tune designed for their intake. One company that I can think of is MAP. I know that they had a stage 1+ tune that was designed for their intake. At this stage, you can expect peak gains of 14% horsepower and 13% torque. Not a huge bump in power, but you will notice a difference in drivability. Rev hang will mostly be eliminated, the throttle response will feel more linear, and the car will pull all the way to redline instead of dying out after like 5,500 RPM. Going with the stage 1+ tune will add an additional 10 to 14 horsepower and give you that induction noise that we all love. The intake install is not that bad. If you plan to go this route, I have an install video on my channel that takes you through each step. Next, we have the stage 2 and 2+ tunes. Stage 2 means that you've added a downpipe and a reflash. Stage 2+ is a downpipe with an intake and reflash. Cobb used to have a stage 2 and 2+ tune preloaded in the Axis Port, but as of March of 2022, they've removed those. This is because of the emission regulations in a lot of states, so all of the updated Axis Ports have had those tunes removed. As of now, Cobb does not make any downpipes for the 2015 plus WRXs or STIs, but you can still find them on other websites. Downpipes for the older gens are still available on Cobb's website though. I bought my Axis Port back in 2019 and I never updated it afterwards, so mine still had the OTS tunes for stage 2 and 2+. I only ran the stage 2+ tune for about 2 weeks before I got an actual dyno tune. The car performed way better after getting a proper tune, and that was because the tune was custom tailored to my car for all the mods that I had installed, rather than a generic tune that's meant to work for all WRXs for various weather, climate, and altitude scenarios. If you have an older Axis Port that still has the stage 2 OTS tune and stage 2+ tunes, remember to run it with a Cobb downpipe and intake only. If you have a different brand of downpipe or intake, then get a Pro Tune / E-Tune because your car is not going to run 100% correct. At this stage, you can expect a more substantial jump in power. Expect peak gains of 19% horsepower and 40% torque compared to stock. Here the car will feel a lot more alive and noticeably faster. At this stage the VA WRXs are also faster than the stock VA STIs. And just like with the previous Stage 1 Plus tune, going with a Stage 2 Plus will gain you an additional 10 to 14 horsepower. I wish I had gone Stage 2 Plus a lot sooner. I was hesitant at first because of the whole downpipe install. You hear a lot of horror stories of people who've had a lot of issues removing the bolts that are connecting the downpipe to the turbo. You hear people having issues where they shear off, they seize, the bolts might get rounded. I was pretty lucky and I didn't have any major issues when I did my downpipe, but it's common for higher mileage cars to have a lot of issues when it comes to removing the downpipe. If you do decide to go this route and do a downpipe install, just make sure you do it on a weekend or do it when you have a couple days free, because this can easily become a 2-day install. At this point, it's also a good idea to get a upgraded boost control solenoid. This will help a lot when you're getting the car tuned, and it makes for a lot more reliable boost numbers. With the stock boost controller, you get some fluctuation. Also, let me just preface that if you do get a boost control solenoid, you will need to get the car tuned, because the OTS tunes are just for the downpipe or a downpipe with an intake. They're not for the boost controller. Next, we have probably one of the least common known stages, or a lot of people probably don't even consider this a real stage, but you have Stage 3 and 3 Plus. Not many people even know that there is a Stage 3. Stage 3 basically refers to a downpipe plus upgrades to the fuel system. So for example, if you have upgraded fuel lines, injectors, fuel rail, fuel pumps, and an ethanol sensor. Stage 3 Plus is everything that I just mentioned, plus an intake. Just like the Stage 2 tunes, Stage 3 tunes have been removed from the updated access ports. Stage 3 power packages have also been removed from Cobb's site for the 2015 Plus WRXs or STIs. Probably still find some Stage 3 packages on other websites. If your access port still has these tunes available, then just remember that you have to use the Cobb parts, just like with all the other OTS tunes that I've mentioned. I don't have any specific power gains for this stage, but know that it will be substantially higher than Stage 2 and 2 Plus. You will probably start reaching the limit of what the stock transmission can handle though, at least in the WRX. The STI trans should be a lot stronger, so that one should be fine. On average, the stock transmission seems to be able to handle about 350 wheel torque. Higher than this, and people have run into a lot of issues with slipping. Obviously this will all depend on the driver and how hard you drive the car. The trans could hold at higher torques, or it can go out at even lower ones, but on average it looks like 350 is the limit for the stock clutch. And also by the time you get to this Stage 3 or 3 Plus tune, you're probably well over that 350 wheel torque. I'm only I'm like Stage 2 Plus with a few additional mods. I have the boost controller, upgraded intercooler, and for me, I'm pushing about 315 wheel torque. So at that number, I haven't had any issues whatsoever. But I've seen other people who have a Stage 2 Plus tune who push a little bit more torque. And then just remember, if your clutch starts wearing or starts slipping, it's not the end of the world, but it just means that you have to upgrade your clutch. You have to replace it, and ideally you should put something that's better, that's meant to handle more torque than the stock one. I also wanted to add in that Cobb has recently come out with a new set of NexGen Stage 2 and 2 Plus packages. The new Stage 2 and 2 Plus packages now come with an upgraded intercooler and boost controller instead of a downpipe. And for the STI, the Stage 2 and 2 Plus tune or package kind of incorporates the previously mentioned Stage 3 package, since it comes with a lot of fueling upgrades. The whole point of these new next-gen packages is so that modded cars can still meet emission requirements throughout the US. Power gains are supposed to be similar, but at least for the WRX, it looks like you can squeeze a little bit more torque with a downpipe as opposed to with just an upgraded intercooler and boost controller. Another thing is, some people just bypass a lot of these stages and just go straight for, let's say, an ethanol tune. So you don't have to go with the intake, you don't have to go with the downpipe, you can just get an ethanol sensor and then do like an E30 tune or an E85 tune. And with the E85 tunes, you'll probably be making close, if not a little bit more power than what you would with the Stage 2 and 2 Plus on regular pump gas like 93. So these are the different stages on the WRX and STI. In the comments, let me know which stage you are. and what mods you have. You don't need to follow the exact stages when it comes to modding your car. You can pretty much go whatever route you want, but in general, people go from intake to the downpipe, maybe an intercooler, and then from there, if you really want to start pushing more power, then they do fuel upgrades. After that, then you can go crazy if you want. You know, you can get an upgraded turbo, you can get a built engine. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but the stage that I mentioned are the most common routes that people go. Those are the parts that people tend to get on these cars. And then as long as you get a proper tune for whatever mods you put on your car, you should be fine, you should be good. The thing you don't want to do is throw a bunch of parts on it and then run it with no tune, or run an OTS tune that's not designed for those parts that you put on it. So if you found this video helpful, leave a like, subscribe for lots more, and we'll see you in the next one.